In this video, we are going to use what we know about angles to find missing angle measurements. So, looking at angles 1 and 2, we see that the measure of angle 1 is given, which is 53. And looking at these, we know that angle 1 and 2 form what's called a linear pair. And based off that linear pair postulate, if two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. So and from what we know about supplementary angles, we know that measure of angle 1 and angle 2 have to add up to 180. So I can say 180 minus 53 to get the measure of angle 2, which is 127. Looking at angle 3, 4, and 5 now, we see that angle 3 is a right angle. And what we know about the measure of right angles is that that measure is 90 degrees. Then we see that angle 4 is given is 28 degrees. Once again, all of these angles are what's known as adjacent angles. So 3 is adjacent to 4, 4 is adjacent to 5. And so the angle measures of all of these angles will add up to 180. So I can subtract 90 degrees from 180 and then 28 degrees to get the missing angle measure of angle 5, 62 degrees. Looking at 6 and 7, we see that 6 is given 44 degrees, and the relationship here is that 6 and 7 are what's known as vertical angles. And based off the vertical angle theorem, vertical angles are always congruent. So since 6 is 44, 7 is also 44 degrees. Now let's look at 8, 9, and 10. Notice the information given says array AS bisects HAC, so we can mark angle 9 and angle 10 congruent based off of what we know about an angle bisector. And then ray AS is perpendicular to MT. So from what we know about perpendicular bisectors, or just perpendicular lines, is that the measures of 8 and 9 will add up to 90 degrees, and the measures of 10 and 11 will add up to 90 degrees, which makes 8 and 9 complementary and 10 and 11 complementary, which then makes 8, 9, 10, 11 all supplementary, meaning all of these angles will add up to 180. So let's look at some given information. Angle 8 is 37 degrees. So in order to solve for angle 9, I would subtract 37 from 90 degrees, and I would get angle 9 to be 53. Then, since we know that array AS bisects HAC, we know that 9 and 10 are congruent, making angle 10 53 degrees as well. Then, in order to solve for 11, I would say 90 minus 53, which, from what we know about angle 8, tells us that angle 11 is 37 degrees. So now let's look at 12 and 13. We know that angle 12 is 4x plus 11, and angle 13 is 3x plus 1. What we know about angle 12 is that they are supplementary angles, which means their measures will add up to 180. So 4x plus 11 plus 3x plus 1 will be 180. So when I combine like terms, I'm going to have 7x plus 12 is equal to 180, which I can solve by subtracting 12 on both sides and then dividing by 7, which would give me x as 24. But we have to use this value of x in the equations for angle 12 and 13 to find the measures. So 4 times 24 plus 11 gives me the measure of angle 12 to be 97 degrees, because I took 24 and substituted it in for the value of x here. Then I'll take 24 and substitute it for the value of x in the angle 13 to say 3 times 24 plus 1 gives me 73. And since these are supplementary, these two measures should add up to 180, which they do. So now let's look at 14 and 15. So the idea with 14 and 15 is that they are both vertical angles, which means they are congruent. However, notice we have no information about what 14 and 15, what the measures of any of them are. So what we can say is not enough information given. Even though many of you will look at this and think that 14 and 15 are 90 degrees, you cannot make that assumption. So now let's look at 16 and 17. 16 is given by the expression 5x plus 3, and 17 is given by the expression 9x minus 5. So, and then we're also given that 16 and 17 are supplementary, meaning that when I add them together, their measures will equal 180. So then when I combine like terms and then solve for x, I get x is equal to 13, which I then can substitute 13 into the values of x for these angle measurements. So 5 times 13 plus 3 gives me an angle measurement for 16 of 68 degrees, and then 9 times 13 minus 5 gives me an angle measurement of 112 degrees for angle 17, which, since these angles are supplementary, 16 and 112 should add up to 180, which they do. Thanks for watching.